Magandang araw muli sa inyong lahat. Welcome sa ating channel, Sir Lopez Vlog. Sa araw na ito ay magkakaroon tayo ng self-evaluation dito sa subject na Criminal Law Book 1 under the topic Circumstances Affecting Criminal Liability. Okay, kung nakahanda na kayo, start na natin sa question number 1. The act complained of is considered to have been done within the bound of law. Hence, it is legitimate and lawful in the eyes of the law. Letter A, exempting circumstances. Letter B, justifying circumstances. Letter C, absolutory cause. Or letter D, extenuating circumstances. Number 2, A and B are long-standing enemies because of their continuous quarrel over the boundaries of their adjoining properties. When A saw B one afternoon, he approached the latter in a menacing manner with a bolo in his hand. When he was about 5 feet away from B, B pulled out a revolver and shot A on the chest, killing him. Is B criminally liable? Letter A, yes. In the facts of the problem given above, what was said was that A was holding a bolo. That bolo does not produce any real or imminent danger unless he raises his arm with the bolo. Letter B, no. That is considered as self-defense because a bolo produces real and imminent danger. Question number 3. Peril to the safety of one's person from physical injury. Letter A, peril to one's limb. Letter B, peril to one's life. Letter C, peril to one's safety. Or letter D, peril to one's security. Question number 4. The danger is on the point of happening. Letter A, actual aggression. Letter B, imminent aggression. Letter C, lawful aggression. Or letter D, unlawful aggression. Question number 5. This is one of the elements of self-defense. Letter A, lack of sufficient provocation on the part of the person defending himself. Letter B, in case the provocation was given by the person attacked, that the one making the defense had no part therein. Letter C, that the person defending be not induced by revenge, resentment, or other evil motive. Letter D, all of them. Number 6. Light felonies are punishable only when they have been blank. Letter A, at any moment. Letter B, consummated. Letter C, attempted. Or letter D, frustrated. Question number 7. Blank, when the person who has decided to commit felony proposes its execution to some other person or persons. Letter A, conspiracy. Letter B, proposal. Letter C, entrapment. Or letter D, instigation. Number 8. Those to which the law attaches the capital punishment or penalties, which in any of their periods are afflictive in accordance with Article 25 of the revised penal code. Letter A, grave felonies. Letter B, less grave felonies. Letter C, light felonies. Or letter D, grave crime. Number 9. In self-defense, the burden of proof rests upon the victim. His duty is to establish self-defense by clear and convincing evidence, otherwise conviction would follow from his admission that he killed the accused. Letter A, true. Letter B, false. Number 10. Mortal wounds at vital parts of the victim's body indicate appellant's determination to kill the deceased and not merely to defend himself. Letter A, true. Letter B, false. 11. In self-defense, defense of relatives, and also defense of stranger, the aggression must be letter A, lawful, letter B, unlawful, letter C, actual, or letter D, imminent. Number 12. Referring to a relative by reason of relationship. Letter A, affectivity. Letter B, affinity. Letter C, consanguinity, or letter D, consanguinity. 13. The following are tests of reasonableness of the means used in self-defense. Defense of relatives and defense of stranger except letter A, nature and quality of the weapons used. Letter B, physical condition, character, and size. Letter C, other circumstances considered. Or letter D, kinds of provocation involved. 14. Those wherein the acts of the actor are in accordance with law, and hence he incurs no criminal and civil liability. Letter A, exempting circumstances. Letter B, justifying circumstances. Letter C, absolutory cause. Or letter D, extenuating circumstances. Number 15. Like felonies are punishable only when they have been consummated, with the exemption of letter A, those committed against person. Letter B, those committed against the law of the nation. Letter C, of the committed against chastity. Or letter D, those committed against person or property. 16. First cousins are our relatives by consanguinity within blank. A, 4th degree. B, 3rd degree. C, 2nd degree. Or letter D, 1st degree. 17. What is referring to our relatives by reason of blood relationship? Letter A, affectivity. Letter B, affinity. Letter C, consanguinity. Or letter D, consanguinity. 18. In law, the condition that a person making the defense did not act out of revenge, resentment, or evil motive is a requirement in defense of relative. Letter A, true. Letter B, false. 19. Father, grandfather, and great-grandfather are our, letter A, descendants. Letter B, ascendants. Question number 20. Suppose the person defending his relative was also induced by revenge or hatred. Would there be a legitimate defense of relatives? A, yes, as long as the three requisites of defense of relatives are present. Letter B, no. The condition that a person making the defense did not act out of revenge, resentment, or evil motive is a requirement in defense of relative. 21. If the provocation was given by the relative being defended, would still be a legitimate defense of relative? Letter A, yes, provided that the one defending such relative has no part in the provocation. Letter B, no, it should be lack of sufficient provocation on the part of the relative in order to use the principle of legitimate defense of relative. 22. If A acted in defense of the husband of A's sister-in-law, would there be a defense of relative? A, yes, because the relationship between A and the husband of A's sister-in-law is one of those mentioned in law. Letter B, no, because the husband of A's sister-in-law is a stranger to A for purposes of the law on the defense of relative. 23. Those infractions of law for the commission of which a penalty of arresto menor pro fine not exceeding 200 pesos or both. Letter A, grave felonies. Letter B, less grave felonies. Letter C, light felonies. Or letter D, light threat. 24. Blank, when the person who has decided to commit a felony proposes its execution to some other person. Letter A, conspiracy. Letter B, proposal. Letter C, inducement. Or letter D, suggestion. 25. The following do not incur any criminal liability. Letter A, self-defense. Letter B, defense of relatives. Letter C, defense of a stranger. Or letter D, all of them. Okay, so natapos na natin ang ating sinagawang self-evaluation sa araw na ito. I-submit nyo ang inyong mga kasagutan sa link na makikita dito sa ating description box. At ang mga tamang kasagutan ay makikita nyo later on dito rin sa ating description box. Okay, so hanggang sa muli, maraming salamat. Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat.